For 2 years, there were calls for the Manitoba government to search a landfill for the remains of 2 victims of an admitted serial killer. Finally, some relief for the women's families as the work is now underway. CBC's Kyra Wilson is at the landfill site and has more on how the search moves forward and what families are saying.
We're at the privately owned Prairie Green landfill just outside of Winnipeg, where prep work has begun for the search for 2 Indigenous women believed to be buried here. Mercedes Myron and Morgan Harris are 2 of the 4 women Jeremy Skibitsky has admitted to sexually assaulting and killing before defiling their bodies and throwing them in trash bins. He has pleaded not criminally responsible due to a mental disorder. We'll know July 11th if he'll be found guilty and sent to prison on 4 counts of murder or sent to a psychiatric hospital. Meanwhile, we're learning more about the landfill search expected to start later this summer. Families were briefed yesterday by Premier Wab Kinew.
I was left very speechless. I had no words. I'm still kind of trying to process it after seeing everything and seeing that construction's being built and the land's being removed from the topsoils and seeing everything actually happening. It's very overwhelming because we've been fighting for 2 years, and it's weird. It's going to be weird not to fight.
Experts have narrowed down where to search, 2 hectares in one specific corner of the landfill. They'll do a test search in another part of the landfill later this month, so engineers and technical experts know what to expect. At the same time, the province has started constructing buildings to be moved here when the official search will begin. One is a healing center for the families, another is where the sorting will take place. It'll be done by hand, and the province will be looking to hire and train people to do that work. It'll be tricky because there's asbestos buried in the area.
We are going to bring forward a tremendous amount of education and training in terms of what to look for, how to search, what to do protocol-wise if something of interest is located. And as a result, we are going to ensure that the people who do conduct this search are kept safe while we deliver on the compassionate mission here, which is try to recover the remains of 2 of our fellow Manitobans.
The provincial and federal governments have each committed $20 million for this search. Wab Kinew says that should be enough. Kyra Wilson, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Our next guest has been calling for the landfill to be searched. Kyra Wilson is a former chief of Long Plain First Nation. She joins us tonight from Winnipeg. Thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you. Good evening.
What do you think of the Premier's comments and this latest move by the province to move forward this summer?
I think it's excellent news that the search is going to begin. I know that we've had plans in place. There were 2 reports that were written. There was a lot of work that was done to actually showcase the operations of what a landfill search would look like. So right now, it was just a matter of when and what that was going to look like.
What do you make of the fact that this, has been going on now for 2 years? There have been calls for the landfill to be searched, and finally now a commitment that it's going to happen.
I think the biggest thing for me is just that sense of relief for the families and being happy for them that, there's some sense of closure, I would imagine. Also that sense of relief for them as well, that the search is going to begin. This is a long time coming, actually. It's almost been close to 2 years, or about 1.5 years that we've been waiting for something. So now that it's starting to happen, it's overwhelming, but also very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, this could take a very long time. The Premier said it could go into 2026, and there are no guarantees, there are no firm guarantees that any remains will be found. Are you concerned about that? And do you think that the families will get that closure that they're looking for if remains are not found?
Well, I guess the biggest thing is the families were wanting just to move forward with this, and they feel that they will find their loved ones, and that's the biggest thing is that hope and that love that we surround all of our families that are impacted by MMIWG2S, or the boys and men that are still a part of that as well. So it's been a big movement across this country, across the world actually, in regards to this landfill search. And now that it is beginning and the work is starting, it will be interesting to see how quickly we can get this done, but obviously safely.
And to pick up on the point that you just made, what does this story about these women's remains being in a landfill and a search going on say about the larger kind of picture of murdered and missing Indigenous women in this country?
Well, they always say that we are stronger when we come together. There's strength in numbers, and that's exactly what we had to do to make sure that we were heard at the table when we were speaking with, the chief of police at the time, as well as the different levels of government. There was so much that we had to do to advocate, and so many leaders came together, First Nations leaders, and so many allies all across the world came together. So everyone worked really hard to show that Indigenous women, First Nations women matter in our society. And that's what we see today is this landfill search to bring these women home.
It's interesting that it took an Indigenous premier to make this finally happen.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that we weren't going to go away. We were always going to fight. So whoever was going to be in that seat, and I'm glad we do have an Indigenous premier, that we were going to get this landfill search done. So that was the biggest thing, is that persistence in terms of getting the search done. And that's why we see this landfill search begin today.
Kyra, what needs to be done here to prevent incidents like this from happening again?
There are a number of different things that I can think of off the top of my head where, we need more resources for anyone that's struggling with homelessness, anyone that might be struggling with addictions or mental health. People need to feel supported and loved when they are struggling. So we definitely need to see more resources in our urban areas, but also in our First Nations communities. That's the biggest thing. But I also believe that, we are just coming together and showing that, we will always support one another when we are dealing with different hardships.
Kyra, thanks for being here. That is Kyra Wilson, who is a former chief of Long Plain First Nation, joining us tonight from Winnipeg.